I hate your haircut. It looks terrible.
What is wrong with my haircut, sir?
Oh, come on. Why don't you ask your friends? You're shaved all the way up and you got, what, a high and tight? So you might as well go back in the Army.
I was never in the Army, sir.
Well, no, I hate your haircut.
I was in the Marine Corps.
It doesn't go with your face shape. And that's my
It doesn't go with my face shape?
No, you got a long nose. And
I got a long... Now I got ugly hair and a long nose.
And you got fine hair and you're shaved, like bald. It looks like a...
What's it look like? You ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
Yeah, you sure?
Yes.
You look like an uncircumcised head. Sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It is.
And you're telling me to be nice.
It is.
I like my haircut.
Come on, God gave you hair. At least grow some, all right?
You know what?
Yeah,
I gotta
really.
go home and shave it bald now.
That right there is an honest man that probably deserves some time off for his comedic humor. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely crazy and wild news to get into today. As, of course, the situation is not all right, as it looks like the corporate media is absolutely losing their ish with their latest very aggressive actions against the First Amendment, as it looks like we also have the rise of the vigilante here in the United States and other parts of the world that have been thrown into chaos. What are going to be the results of that? What are going to be the bigger problems of these larger vigilante actions? Well, it could be all done by design. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is being shared around by a lot of people on social media, specifically highlighting how just awful this haircut is that a fellow prisoner roasts this police officer in an absolutely hilarious ways that shows you, even in the worst of situations, hey, at least we could still laugh and make some jokes. And there's going to be a lot of them in the political gulag that we're all going to end up in. This, as we have some very interesting moments from the corporate media establishment that literally just came out and declared how, quote, the deep state is kind of awesome, according to the New York Times, as Canada's national news organization came out and said that excess free speech is now, quote, a breeding ground for more Trumps, warning about the dangers of people being able to actually talk to each other freely, which is a really bad thing, according to the people in charge. This as major corporate TV presenters in the United Kingdom are literally arguing to shut down to Twitter because, wait for it, they allow different opinions.
Yeah. But the conspiracy theorists won't even have that. That's not her.
No, all I know. But I mean, Jenny, is there any argument to say, this will sound crazy, but China does it. We've got to now take control of Twitter and shut it down for the time being.
Oh, yes, Charlie, we have to deal with the rebel. How dare they talk freely with each other? That's exactly what they're arguing here for. As they're literally saying the quiet part out loud that they've been talking about and implementing for the last few frickin' years, and now they're just openly bragging about it, about how the rabble shouldn't be able to talk to each other. As in the United Kingdom, a lawyer now is being sued after expressing the belief that, quote, only women menstruate. Yes, this is an actual story of a lawyer who's being sued over comments and posts that she made at work. This, as of course, the corporate media likes to tell us that the sun is absolutely horrible and now, quote, linked to heart disease and the lowering of your immune system, according to the science and the studies that they just released here. This is an actual article from the Daily Mail that details how, quote, just one day in the sun may increase your risk of heart disease and stop the body from being able to fight infections. And then they dare to fact check anyone, daring to, of course, question their preconceived conclusions that all kind of coalesce around the dumbing down and destruction of humanity, which is being well documented here in the Western world, as some corporate media executives are some really twisted, horrible individuals, as one of these individuals who believes that you should only be able to hear from here openly declared on social media that, quote, now Barron Trump, who just turned 18 years of age, is, quote, fair game. Yeah, that's some of the disgusting behavior you could expect from the opposition media and the corporate journalists out there that are working hand in hand with major institutions and platforms like Alphabet and Google that are fortifying and securing this upcoming presidential election. As it looks like Google just changed the definition of bloodbath, as it's not just the corporate media and social media companies fighting for the Democratic establishment, it's also their chief foot soldiers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that looks like she didn't understand what RICO means, as the Biden administration, in my opinion, looks like they will have a very clear and decisive victory this upcoming presidential election, as the president of the United States just announced that he's going to be implementing more rules that are going to be phasing out gas cars, and that by the year 2032, only electric or hybrid cars will be available to the general public. This, as we also recently found out that 70% of F-35 fighter jets that the U.S. military spent trillions of dollars on are absolutely non-combat ready, as the Biden administration just forgave another $5.8 billion in student debt for 78,000 borrowers whose debt and loans have been wiped clean right before a presidential election, which of course is going to have some significant impact here, as a lot of people are saying that this administration is literally buying votes here, and there's a fair argument to make here, as of course the House Appropriation Committee just released a $1.2 trillion government spending bill, which has some really interesting things that they want you to pay for. As of course the government is really great at taking your money, spending your money, printing money out of thin air, devaluing it, destroying its value, as we're also hearing about horrible stories of people needing to use more and more borrowing services in order to just pay for groceries. This is according to MSN, that is describing that because of soaring food prices, a lot of Americans are turning to pay later options and are needing to pay for their food in installments and loans. And yeah, that situation is only going to get worse from here. And that's why we keep telling you one of the most important things that you could have, one of the most important currencies that you could invest in is, of course, the currency of your social relations all around you. And that's one reason out of many reasons why we created LukeUnfiltered.com, where you could join for as little as $8 a month. And you get some really incredible offers of value, 3 masterclasses, a forum, a members-only t-shirt store, in real-life meetups, gatherings, contests, tickets, giveaways, prizes, you name it. We do it all. We just randomly shipped out a really cool prize to one of our members randomly. Why? Just because you could be a part of that community. You could also call in to our live show. We do a show 3 days out of the week. The next show that we are going to be doing is this upcoming Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, that you guys actually get to call in. Yesterday's member that called in was absolutely awesome and started a really interesting conversation with a member named Nick calling in, asking some really profound questions that we answered last night during the show. This, as it's awesome to hear from you, to see from you, but also interact and spend some time with you. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing with members of LukeUnfiltered.com. In about 3 to 4 weeks from now, as we are actually organizing a nature hike here in southern Florida with members of LukeUnfiltered.com. Yes, you heard that correctly. I kind of thought, I was like, hey, last time we met, there was like 50, 60 people that came out here to South Florida, and it was really nice just to kind of hang out. But it'll be cooler to do something that's really awesome, that's reinvigorating, and we could spend our time not just sitting down, but actually moving, actually exploring nature. I'm also talking about maybe potentially finding someone that could help explain things to look out for in that specific part of the park, things to actually look for when it comes to plants and all its healing properties and medicinal stuff. We'll get into all of that. That nature hike, touching grass, all available for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. As also, we are going to have a special video report just for members right after this broadcast. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Click right now in the description in this video right now. Subscribe, and I will see you there right after this video with a special video describing some stuff that we cannot say here on this particular broadcast. Sign up right now, and I will see you there right after this broadcast. This, as of course, we got more lawlessness documented here on the southern border, as we have a video circulating around social media right now highlighting how hundreds of migrants have pushed through one of the barbed wired fencing set up by the Texas National Guard and have rushed into the United States through the border wall in El Paso, Texas. Highlighting human trafficking and lawlessness that essentially has the stamp of the approval of the federal government that is controlled by the Democrats, as of course this policy will help ensure that they will stay in power forever. This has some of the people that are being flown into the United States or crossed into the United States illegally aren't some of the best individuals, as one of them just recently was detailed to be an individual connected to some nefarious organizations and organized crime efforts, as visibly seen through, of course, his gang tattoos, as there was also pretty sick videos of people being tortured on his phone. Yes, you heard that correctly. One of the people that was apprehended at the border was actually screened, was actually questioned, but still left unidentified, as of course many people crossing into the border literally throw away their identification cards before walking into the United States, as there are many stories now of some Latin American countries allowing criminals to leave their country if they make their way into the United States. That usually doesn't screen, interview, or investigate anyone crossing into this country. This, as there's also a viral TikTok video going around explaining how illegal immigrants could take advantage of squatting rights here inside of the United States, as Venezuelan man literally told his hundreds of thousands of his followers that migrants can now repair and live in the homes that are empty here in the United States without any kind of legal repercussion. These, as some states in the United States actually allow these kind of criminal practices, allowing individuals to steal the home properties of others, as the legal process to actually get them back is so tedious that in many instances is absolutely freaking pointless. In places like Florida, they literally just passed a law banning a lot of these practices, but in places like New York, it is something that a lot of people take advantage of. This, as actually some people in the United States are cheering on these practices, are cheering on random people walking into this country, including even the Libertarian Party of Louisiana, that literally released this image highlighting the need to, quote, now arm the migrants. Arm the people who violated American law. Some of them connected to some of the worst sinister cartels and gangs out there in the Western world. And I don't know about you, but deliberately arming people during this larger divide and conquer agenda that's unfolding right in front of our eyes might not be the best thing to do here. This, as we also have the news of now vigilantes showing up to evict the squatters at the Queen's home of a woman who was arrested as she was charged with changing the locks and unlawful eviction of squatters who took over her own home after her parents passed away. This, as it looks like some wise guys came up and showed up at the property who said that they just wanted to talk to some of the squatters who, according to some reports, were running away from the property. This, as of course a lot of people on social media are cheering on these kind of wise guys, saying that, hey, this is something that a lot of people are going to their communities with, and a lot of the strong men within them are taking the situation into their own hands. As of course the conversation between these wise guys and these squatters probably was a civil conversation, a nice conversation, but probably involved a little bit of nudging, a little bit of convincing that maybe it wouldn't be in the best interest of some of these guys to continue to steal someone else's property. And with the response that this story is getting, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people are going to be inspired by this particular story, as when a government, a city, and a police department fail its people, the only thing people could rely on is each other and their communities. And that's the lesson that a lot of people are learning in Haiti, as we're also finding out today about vigilantes that are now going after the gang members there who have created a lot of the chaos, who have stolen a lot of the humanitarian aid, and are, quote, dragging them through the streets, hacking off their hands, and lighting them on fire, with more memes now probably about barbecue going off in Haiti. In totally unrelated news, you should check out our barbecue 2024 presidential t-shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. But with individuals and community people saying, hey, enough of this lawlessness, enough of these gangs, enough of the criminality, enough of the looting and stealing. We have the rise of vigilantes in Haiti in a major way that is becoming more and more common in the Western world. As of course, there's a lot of stories about now vigilantes going after people who try to approach small children and take advantage of them, as many child predators are being locked up and arrested in record numbers because of social media influencers whose job it literally is that they created on their own to lock these people up. This as there's many forms of vigilantism here inside of the United States, not just with wise guys, not just with people going after child predators, but also people voting with their dollars, as Planet Fitness just saw $400 million wiped off of its value in just 5 days after they banned members who were critical of biological men in the female locker room who were shaving their beards. This, as what we saw with Bud Light and other major corporations that have gone woke, is that the American people have had enough. Now, some people are saying that this kind of rise of vigilantism could lead to another kind of Trayvon Martin situation that could lead to, of course, a more tumultuous political and social situation here inside of the United States. And whether that is kind of planned or organized, I don't know. Or is this just the rise of people taking the situation and matters into their own hand? What do you think is going on here? Press number 1 if you think some of this might be deliberate to create another larger chaotic divide and conquer agenda. Press number 2 if you think that it is just, there's no larger agenda to it, just people finally standing up for themselves. What do you think is really going on here? Let me know down in the comment section below. As of course, the conversation continues on LukeUnfiltered.com. We got another video coming your way, another podcast coming this Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, with an incredible individual, Ed Clay. And seriously, I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this independent media organization. And if you found this video thoughtful or thought-provoking, share it with your friends and family members. That is more imperative than ever. Also, shouts out to fieldofgreens.com, promo code Luke. Check them out as well. They're a company that's actually backing us and supporting us. Shouts out to anyone and everyone supporting free speech. Really means a lot to us. Check them out. Their link is also in the description below. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for fieldofgreens.com, promo code Luke. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up, going on a nature hike with me. Even if you're not here from Southern Florida, I'm going to organize other nature hikes all throughout the United States. But more importantly, your memberships help pay for these kind of larger community building efforts, which I think are going to be more crucial than ever in the very troubling times ahead of us. And this is why I always end every single broadcast by saying, I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.